Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to In the Tank with Keith Deyo and Aaron Hairston. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. Also, I hope that you had a very successful week. And what that feels like is what I'm focused on right now. How did your week feel? So as we wait for all of our guests to join us, I just want to thank you again for each and every day joining in with us at this noontime hour to go ahead and focus on what is bettering you in your life. And so I'm going to go ahead and grab my charger real quick because I'm noticing my phone is dying. That's what ends up happening when you're on the phone constantly and doing videos. So let me go ahead and plug me in here. All right. Aaron, what's going on? How we doing? Awesome. Keep down the building. Bring my boy on. Let's go. Let's do it. All right, Dave. Welcome.
There we go.
What's going on, Keith? How we doing, brother? Happy Friday, man.
Yeah, happy Friday, baby.
Friday. I love it, man. And, you know, this topic is really, it's something that's filled my heart up this morning, just seeing after last night's event and all the emotion and all of what we've been a part of, you know, for the last 10 years for you, 6.5 years for me. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about this because I think everybody needs to reflect on what their environment looks like and how does it make them feel, right? Is it pushing them forward? And I love using the analogy like a farmer, right? I mean, a farmer takes care of the seeds, takes care of the things that are in his farm, you know, in his garden. And as he continues to nourish them and take care of them, they grow. Right. And so the opposite happens when you put it into harsh environments where, you know, seeds just have a very difficult time flourishing, getting the nourishment that it needs and prospering. So Keith, what do you love so much about, you know, creating your environment and finding your tribe?
What comes to mind when you bring up farming is grow broccoli, grow broccoli, grow. I love that analogy, like you said, man, because you talk about intentional growth, right? I'm trying to find out the best angle here. Intentional growth, right? So, yeah. So I'm gonna go a little higher. We're getting used to this horizontal. So the intentional growth. So remember that if we're gonna use this analogy as a farm, and we get basically, you don't have to have this huge, massive farm, but you can have your own personal garden. And that's really what I look at it as, because we're still farmers, but it's our garden. It's in our backyard. We nourish it. It's not something we plant seeds and then walk away. Right. We have to make sure that no matter how many seeds we plant, there's always going to be weeds. Things are always going to grow in. Jim Rohn does a great talk on what it looks like in our industry, one of our professions, Aaron, and in the network marketing industry, what it looks like when you're building this thing. And he uses the analogy of a garden with weeds and thorns, and then, you know, the birds are going to get some, and the wind is going to get some, and then the deer and the animals, they're going to get some. But you know what? That's part of natural selection. And one of the things that I love about what we do is we have an opportunity to set up our own system of natural selection. People will qualify and unqualify for your time if you're doing this correctly. And what we often forget is that if we don't have filters set up so that people can unqualify and qualify, well, then we get stuck saying yes to everything and everyone. And then before we know it, like Les Brown says, we didn't get a chance to grow it, right? So that before you know it, you'll wake up and all your dreams and ambition, all your energy and your time, it'll be gone and you'll wonder where it went. There are some days that when I let that happen, I wonder where the day went in a bad way. Because as you know, we live that 7-day weekend life. You know, that feeling that people have on the weekend, that Friday, Saturday feeling, not so much the Sunday, but the Friday, Saturday is where we live. And we did a lot of work to be able to do that. It wasn't something that was easy.
It wasn't here.
But it definitely wasn't.
The work, yeah.
It wasn't, you know what? Life is supposed to be hard, but it doesn't have to be difficult. That's the thing that we want to remember.
That was huge.
Yeah. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. And what I love about today's topic is to find your tribe, identify the vibe, And then, like Paxton says, define your quest. So the best part about it is if you're growing a garden and you have all these different seeds that you plant and then you nourish, and then, you know, in the off season, you take care of the soil, you do everything you have to do. Everyone knows about a garden, how to grow it, needs sun, needs nourishment. But the best part about a garden is everything is different, but growing for a similar purpose, a similar end result. It's going to nourish and feed the body. And that similar result is what allows that environment to thrive. If you planted a garden full of vegetables and then also threw some weeds in, the weeds goal is to take over. The weeds goal is to overconsume. The weeds goal is to break down and kill everything around it, strangle it. I'm sure you have a couple of environments, that have that, right? Where there's more weeds than vegetables, more weeds than fruit. And then you got some vines that hide their way until they get to the top and then they sprout and pull you down. There's all these kind of things going on, and we have no idea. We can rarely see what's going on underneath the ground. That's where the real damage is being done to our rooting system, that system that we grew forever. So what we do is we get out there, we identify, we find our tribe, you feel that energy, right? We identify that vibe, and then we define a quest. And the quest that we're on, Aaron, is a quest that people understand they can win with. It's a no judgment zone that allows people to grow up from the toe up, be their absolute best. And when they show up, they fuel up. They fill up when they show up. They don't empty out. Like when you go to work, a lot of times you're constantly being emptied. And then they're wringing you out. And by the time you get out, you punch that clock, you better be wrung out. And you go home, and now the real work starts. Right. So that's where I got. That's where this topic, when I saw you write that topic out, that's what it brought up for me.
Yeah, and I love it because, I've always been a part of championship teams, and I always kind of like to reflect on, what made that so special. And it was the synergy. It was the energy that was created amongst that group. And you always knew when something wasn't right. If you had a new guy come on or someone just wasn't contributing the way that they always contribute, there was a break in the action. And so we need to continue to reevaluate and recalibrate our life as we start to see where we are and who's around us, because easily it can just drain us and have us caught up in conformity and not even realize that we're there, right? It kind of masks itself. And so today we want to talk about how do you acknowledge, right, what's going on in your environment. And the first thing you got to do is you got to take a time out. You got to take a time out, right? I mean, I remember being a coach. You got to huddle the team up, and you got to look at everybody and say, okay, where are we going? All right, where are we right now, and where are we going? And you start to get the feedback from the group, and all of a sudden you notice that there's a lot of misdirection. There's a lot of disconnects, and you need to bring it all together, right? And so you break up into groups, you find the categories that each person is focused on, and you come back together and you get the job done. And so look at your group. Look at the individuals that you spend the most time with, the people that you plug into through podcasts. What are you listening to? What are you watching on TV or on your phone? What are you plugging in the most time with? And see if what that environment is providing is value. And the thing is that when we recalibrate and just acknowledge those small inconsistencies, again, we're removing the kinks in our hose. We're allowing things to flow at an uninterruptible speed. And that's what's so cool, is that when you can do that, you got a lot of feedback. I don't know what that is. But when you can feel that, it's right. And it just happens, and it just adjusts and readjusts almost on its own, and everybody's on the same page, right? And so it's going to be an ongoing thing. And something that I like to do is kind of looking at my tribe. I use my whiteboard here and I like to do my X's and O's. It's just like when I was coaching. What is that noise? You hear that, Keith?
No.
It's a lot of feedback. So I like to look at the X's and O's, and I like to see, okay, what play are we running right now? And notice that I mentioned we, because there's a lot of different players. We can't do things on our own. Matter of fact, we can, but we won't be as effective, right? So, delegating and, leveraging the relationships are huge in your life, and you want to be able to utilize it. But if you don't know what players you have, right, then you need to go ahead and address what players are playing with you, right? Are you all playing the same game? And then what really, yes, it is. Thank you, Laura. Hey, Laura, what's going on? So when you look at the X's and O's, right, see who are the X's and O's. And as you design your play, right, find the way that's going to make it the most efficient so that everybody wins. Okay, so this is the analogy I like to use because it makes sense to me. But if you've never played sports, just think of your career, right? Where have you been the most successful? And the people that you were teamed up to conquer a project. We all had projects, even when we were kids, right? The teacher put us in groups, and some of them got it done, and some people didn't. And you saw the disconnect, right? All the disruption and all this, this distractions. Some people were focused, some people weren't. Right? And then I remember being a part of the group, and I was that distraction. I was the one that was the non-conformist.
Non-conformers!
But here's the cool thing, right, is once I was able to dial that energy and got passionate about, everybody always wanted me on their team because I would just go in. When I really got it, I would go in, and I was real excited about it. And so ask yourself today, as it's Friday, all week, who have been the X's and O's in your plan? What is your plan, right? And is it meaningful and measurable, and are you adjusting it as it goes? And, there's going to be people that are going to come and go out of your life, and it's all purposeful, right? They're going to bring ideas, right? They're going to take away, the things. It's always going to be some sort of adjustment that needs to be made. You're not always going to run with the same squad, right? You're always going to be adjusting, but you're not going to be running with the same squad. The cool thing is as a leader, you can help others develop their own squads, right? Because, you may need to do that. You need to delegate because the project is so large. It just you all working in synergy together is going to be a collection of projects, and everybody's going to take on their responsibility and the thing that they're passionate about. And so it's really cool, Keith. As we talked about last night, our synergy. And when Andrea was sitting there, she was like, "Wow, I couldn't believe it. It was almost as if it was like you guys were like an act." You know what I mean? Everything was just flowing.
Like you said, it almost seemed fake. It almost seemed planned.
Yeah, and that's when you start to see that vibe, and it just happens naturally, right? And you guys are all on that wavelength, and that's when all the kinks have been removed, and it's just flowing freely. Everybody's feeling good, everybody's happy, and the people that are just being introduced to this tribe, it's like, whoa, like this really feels good. I feel included, even though I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know why, this energy exists, but I know that it feels good, right? And so that's what we seek every day, Keith, is being able to provide that permission for others to say, you know what, let me reevaluate who's playing on the field with me today, right? What are our goals? What are we focused on, right? And what's going to keep us synergistic? What's going to keep us moving forward? And what do we need to remove? What do we need to adjust? What do we need to refocus on? And so I love this topic. It really excites me because I know the outcome of a great team, and it's great things.
Aaron, let's do a check-in. You got some shout outs?
Yeah, let's do it. So Thomas, what's going on, man? It was a pleasure meeting you last night, brother. Yes, who's adding value to the camp? Absolutely, right? And you can ask those questions. Ask the people, okay, what are you most passionate about the project that we're doing? Right? What excites you? That's a great thing that you can check in with. Elizabeth, not only who's playing, but who's committed to playing at what level? Yeah, absolutely. What part of this do you want responsibility of? Right? What are you excited about? Okay? Right, exactly. Really find what it's all about. Laura, what's going on, girl? John Paul, what's up, JP? Yes. Andrea, yes, love this. Thank you for this message. This message is something that we always need to look at, even with our families, right? As we teach our children how to create relationships, the one important thing that we need to help them understand is that they have a drive to do something, right? And it's always much funner doing it with a group of people where you can share ideas and feedback and celebrate together, right? And so we want to teach our children how to identify those feelings, especially when creating relationships in schools and all that. That's what I got on my list, Keith. You got anything on yours?
No, that's what I see too. And Aaron, you bring up a good feeling. I was just going to talk about that. So you bring up a good feeling too. You bring up a good point.
Go.
When we speak, we understand that materials don't matter. Right. That was something that hit me like a ton of bricks recently. Materials don't matter. And what matters is the feelings that you create, when and where you create them, and who you create them with. And that's really where the memories are lodged. It's not so much a visual or material thing. Those material things are temporary. But the feelings that you took away from that and experienced, that's really why we do things. That's why we buy things. That's why we hang out with people. That's why we are drawn to certain energies. Some of us have a favorite flavor of suffering that we tend to go back to, and we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's almost like we're expecting it to happen, and what you focus on, you find. So it's all about how things that you are looking to do feel. Identify the feeling first, and then find the people that make you feel that way. We get to choose who we hang around. Trust me.
We do.
You get to choose who you hang around, and you get what you tolerate. That is the number one lesson. What you tolerate, you will receive. And if you don't like a situation, family member or friend, you got to go and stop tolerating that person. Stop tolerating that version of them and who they allow you and give you permission to be, because it's probably not the best version of you. So focus on the feelings, and remember, materials don't matter. It's never going to be about that. That's so temporary, and in the moment where you think you're gaining something, you're really not. So if you are seriously in the moment, you'll feel it in your heart.
Yeah, you
think your heart will be warm. You'll be out of your head. You'll be out of the mind. Aaron, and that whole that presentation, the opportunity to channel all of that energy, all of that excitement, all of the support. You know what it felt like last night when I was up there presenting is all of this work that we've done to become who we are was not to become who we are so we can be flashy. Was not to become who we are so we could use our ego. It was to become who we are so we can strip down all these barriers, shake off all the rust, so that everything that's coming to us goes through us. So everything that was said on that stage was not driven by those slides, was not driven by something corporate wanted to get out. I intentionally and purposely, it's in my nature to not prepare as much as somebody else maybe would, but to channel, because we're responsible. Look, we're not going to be reckless. We're responsible. We know what we're doing. And when that can flow through, I heard every single person's voice on that stage on that night. And I looked every single person in the eye to make sure that I got a message from them and allowed that message to come out through my voice and my body and provide value to them. And it's not what I said. It's the posture and the passion and the belief that reassured them and affirmed them of a feeling that they love having. And they love to smile and laugh. And imagine if making a friend was simply coming up to somebody and saying hi. That's community. That's culture. We have an event culture that is I mean, hands down, you do not see that. I don't know. You don't even see that in families that know each other. This is something where people will totally throw out all the judgment they have on themselves and anyone else, and you will get in there, you will hug, you will clap, you will cheer. It is absolutely amazing the support that we instill into our culture. And everyone leaving that event, no matter how late it was or how long a drive it was lit up, and their buckets were full. I didn't see a person in there with an empty bucket when they left. Even the people that had their arms crossed, by the time they left, they were smiling, standing up, had their arms down by their side. They were totally open. Yeah, it was amazing. And that's really what we have here. And it was because of the people that when they were called to action, they never questioned their own ability. They never questioned why. They said, how can I help? What else can I do? And let's go. They didn't have to be there, but they were. And they absolutely crushed it. So kudos to our ladies. I mean, how awesome are the women in your lives? I mean,
they were amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. And
there's one group that we really didn't get to call out, and that was the spouses last night. All the people that were home with the kids that were making sure that we can be out there and do what we do. I mean, we have amazing spouses. I'm telling you, they put up with a lot. And it's not the easiest thing to do, but they come through every single time. And I couldn't be happier with that experience last night.
Absolutely. And, I want to just have something of relatability to everyone. You ever had that feeling where time flies when you're having fun? Like you're hanging out with your best friends and all of a sudden you're like, are you serious? Is it that time? You know, that's when you know that you're part of a group of individuals that are just channeling energy and just love being attracted to each other. And that's what we're looking for in life, right? And so if you feel that feeling where it's either like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to end, then you need to look for the disconnect. You need to see what's going on and why is that feeling there, right? So identifying that, because it may be just one little shift, right? Just maybe 1 millimeter, one little shift to the left, all of a sudden everything changes. You know, so just being the one to acknowledge that, to slow it down for a minute, especially if things are getting kind of, you know, frustrating. You're like, oh my gosh, like we're butting heads here. We're not even communicating. You know, just stop for a second. And it happens a lot in relationships, right? All relationships, you know, spouses, friendships, business partners, like all the time, there'll come a time where that disconnect happens. And so I encourage everyone to just take a time out when that happens. It's just like on the field. I remember playing ball. I called a timeout. Coach, we need a timeout. Right now, everybody is on their own island right now, and it's not working. And the other team is working like a machine. So we need to stop. We need to stop. And the cool thing about life is that you can call unlimited timeouts. We don't have only 3. You know what I mean? Like, you can call unlimited timeouts. And so I invite you to call time out. It's okay. And if you're looking for your identity right now and trying to define the role for you, I have some advice. This is something that comes across my table in my mind all the time. Like, why am I doing this? Or why am I doing that? What is my purpose? Right? What's driving me? Because again, you can get caught up in all the excitement, right? And then miss yourself at the end of the day. Like, oh my gosh, like I don't know where I'm going. I'm lost right now. And so what I invite you to do is call a timeout. Call a timeout and just take some time alone. You know, Laura, I watched that video you posted on Facebook, and I absolutely loved it. The guy that went out and took a week on his own, just went and and did a retreat on himself and just find and readjusted himself and recalibrated was the verbiage that he used. It's so important to do that, and we can do that every single day. And I encourage you to do so, especially in the morning. The morning time is the best time. The mind is fresh, right? There's no distractions yet. And that's the time where we can really, really take that focus time to say, okay, who am I today? How am I feeling? What's going to make me continue to feel great? Yes, recalibration. What's going to make me feel great today, right? And as you search for those things in your mind and ideas, you know, just deep breath, each one of them, you know, and just be present in that moment. I just got goosebumps as I'm talking about this because it's so important, and we go so fast and we forget that we have unlimited timeouts. Time out. I need a timeout, and take that time to recalibrate, to really refocus and identify, because each day is going to be different, right? Your focus is going to be different. What's going to drive you is going to be different. The water is not going to be as clear as it was yesterday, and you understand that. However, it's also equally important that you identify, okay, what it is and why it is you're going to feel good today. And once you do that, right, as you enter into your tribe, right, the first tribe is probably going to be your family if you got kids, right? As you enter into your tribe, you're going to identify your role, your identity, and it's going to feel good because now you're significant. You've stated certainty and what you were focused on. Now you jumped into significance. You found your role. Now you can actually play as a team. And you know your players, you know your role, and you start to identify the others, and that's playing with you. And now you can strategy, and you'll get results. If you break that order in any order, call a timeout. Call a timeout. Readjust. Huddle up. Right? And when you get that feedback again, I don't know what that is. But I think it's like an echo or something. However, if you have to call timeout, just call. And encourage people in your tribe to do the same thing. Give them the ability to call timeout, right? Not just, there's no head coach here, right? I think a lot of people lose that fact, right? They're looking for permission. I'm giving you that permission right now, right? Call timeout and allow others to call timeout. Say, hey, listen, guys, if we seem to get off track here, let's call timeout. Everybody understand what that means. Always a young child, we call timeout, right? Kids out of control, not listening, right? Call timeout. Just go sit in the corner for a minute and just think about what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So allow yourself that time to just readjust each and every day. It's so important. Don't lose yourself caught up, right, in the game. Don't lose yourself in the game because it's not going to serve you nor the goal that everyone is shooting for. It's actually going to be a distraction, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to eventually be the kink in the hose. You will be the kink, right? And all of a sudden now, no one wants to be the kink. Everybody wants to be valued, right? Everybody wants to be valued. going into it. So call timeout, readjust, focus, all right? See what it is that you feel good about, and then just go, right? And then you can identify. Once you've identified that, now you're one now, okay? And call it unlimited, man. I mean, it's so important, Keith, and that's something that I've been practicing, and it's hard at times because you're like, I can't call timeout now, and I'm like, well, why can't I? Like, what's going to happen?
I'm in the
If I
car.
take 30 seconds, you know what I mean? Like, is there somebody going to die if I call 30 seconds? Like, no. I got to call an equipment timeout. I got to adjust my shirt. You know what I mean? I got to do something, right? I got to do my power move. Like, yes. I got to get recharged up, right? I got to go. They're counting on me. So just some food for thought and some things that I use, because I know someone out there is probably feeling, you know what? I just don't know who I am. And how can I play on a team if I have no idea who I am in my role? That's up to you, right? And it's allowed to adjust and readjust.
Patty brings up a good point where she doesn't feel valued in her position anymore. But Aaron, you made a great point about going back and find out, call that timeout, recalibrate, like Lara said, and go find out, did you do the things in order? Have you gone in today, or in whatever situation you're in, did you create certainty? Is there certainty first? Do you know exactly what your role is, right? Then go into that significance piece. What is it? So here I am. I created safety. I know what my role is. Okay, who is my team? And then whatever level you're on, wherever you're seeing the energy drop, you have the opportunity to change that energy. You have the opportunity to go in there, tinker it around, call a sub, right? Bring in somebody else. And if that person can't be replaced, well, then you need to be a different person or bring a different energy to the environment in order to make the team work, and then get out of the game, get out of that game, get out of that play, get through the moment. But what we have to remember is, and what we get to remember is, it's that toleration and it's that standard that we set. Even if you feel undervalued or you do not like where you are, you still made a choice to feel that way. And it's probably because you let yourself down, because you signed a contract, you said you would do that job, and there's no other choice right now. So you don't have another choice. So what it's doing is, you're not only stealing from yourself, you're stealing from your family, you're stealing from your future, and you really are stealing from your own well. You're draining your own well. Why would you do that? Why would you overuse your own fuel source so there's no more left? When all you need to do is make a tiny shift and bring your standards up and bring your level of toleration up, and then what you'll do, or toleration down, whatever you're working towards.
Right, whatever you're meant
to happen is, right. Exactly, you'll be able to control your emotions in different situations. Not every situation is going to be ideal at first, but you have complete control over that situation. And all it takes sometimes is 20 seconds, 30 seconds. There's a pattern interrupt. There's that timeout. Yep. If there's you got to go to the bathroom, look in the mirror, take some deep breaths, splash some water on your face. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. I put myself here, and I'm going to crush this thing, do a power move, and shock the world. Because they know you're unhappy. It's not a secret. If you're going to work and you're unhappy, guess what? They know. You walk by the plants in your office and they're all dying. There's no secret, right? Your energy is everywhere. Every feeling you have affects 90,000 people. It's a law. You can't argue it. We have to remember that. And that's so important. And Aaron, I don't know if you can see more to check in before we close this out, but I believe that this message is something that people can build on over the weekend.
Kathy says she's so fueled up from last night. The gift to share what we have is so much fun, and grateful for every moment that feeling right there, knowing that you have provided value. There really is no monetary value to that. It really is one of those things where, it's almost like this euphoric addiction, right? It's like, I need to have that. I need to have that. And so, it's important, Kathy, that we continue to search for that each day. And, as our roles, right, choose, right? I love setting intention each morning and saying, okay, I choose to attract this type of person, or I choose to attract this type of moment in my life today. And I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know who's going to be involved in it. All I know that is this is what I want to feel when it happens. This is what I want to see when it happens, right? And so you state that, you make that declaration, you make that a firm belief in your heart that it's going to happen, and you're going to allow that receiving of it, right? Because we can easily put blockers up, you know, because we're not being vulnerable enough. We're not being coachable enough, even to ourselves, right? We're not being coachable even to ourselves. We need to know that we can readjust and adjust at any moment. Our attitude, right? Our gratitude, our contribution, right? Our significance, our value, all these things are things that are in our control. And we can show up to the game however we choose to show up. And that's the thing, right? Free will is something that can either hurt us or it can help us. And we have a choice. And that was where I realized that freedom really lives, okay? Is when you have that choice and you know you have the choice. And so you may be in a situation right now with some teammates that aren't playing right, and I get it. However, you can shift the way that you approach that teammate and bring the best out of them, because you know, if you know that there's something wrong, then you know enough to know how to fix it, right?
Wow.
So then bring them to the table and say, hey, listen, I just want to ask you a few questions, right? It just doesn't seem like that this is really vibing with you and what we're doing. Do you have some feedback? Do you have something you would like to share? What happens? Significance goes up. And all of a sudden, ideas start to flourish. Creativity starts to flourish. Life starts happening. And this is something we can do to ourselves. What am I doing right now? Am I contributing, or what am I doing? I'm taking away from my hours of my life, because every hour, every minute that passes, you can't get that back. That's gone, right? And so stop living with a groundhead mindset, a groundhog mindset. It's not a day again and a day again. It doesn't exist, right? And there's never been February 9th, 2018 at 12:20. It's never been that way, right? And so it's not going to be that way in a minute from now, right? So just decide that you can adjust and readjust. And I just want to thank everyone for really chiming in here today, because this has been a great topic. And I hope that you can take this now with you into the weekend and find other team members in your life. And I say team members because that's what we're doing. Every group of people that we involve ourselves with is a team, and they're doing something, and they're making something, they're creating something. There's something going on, and so it's our job to adjust and readjust to make sure that that team does the best at whatever it is, and it's come from the heart, and it's always with love. So for the hundreds of thousands of people out there that always chime in with us, we thank you. We invite you to comment. This is a living, breathing live. It will continue to be live. We'll go back, we'll comment, we'll like. And, you know, for those who haven't seen it yet and are watching this on replay, we encourage you to join us here on The Tank, in The Tank, every Monday through Friday from noon to whenever we go. We just want to thank you for being here. Have a fantastic weekend. God bless, and thanks, Keith, man. This has been awesome. And let's rock the weekend, brother. Take care, everybody.